everything was good, including being overweight. So, you know. Scientifically, you cannot drink alkaline water and it makes your cells alkaline. The closer you are to nature, the healthier you will be.
Happy Saturday to everyone. I am Carolyn Gentle, and you are in the Mind of Nature, hosted by Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist. Thank you all so much for joining us today on this beautiful Saturday. We are live and in living color. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the measles outbreak. There's also been a recall on butter and fluoride. We're going to be talking about the myths and busting the myths of fluoride and how food and your mental health combine or go together. Also, how to avoid foodborne illnesses. There's a lot going on, and how spending can affect your health and your wallet. So those are some things that we're going to be talking about today. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is Dr. Farid Zarif. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. Dr. Zarif, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
Fantastic, Kara. We were definitely looking forward to a great show today. So we want you to, everybody, really focus on some of the things that we're sharing today, because there are things that like kind of get past us and we forget them. But disease doesn't work like that. Just because it's not up here, you're not thinking about it, the disease goes away magically or something. We need to really change the way that we look at these things, because they're way more serious than some people share with us. And I'm saying some people because I don't want to get into a naming game, but you know who they are. And they do too. They know who they are. I want to welcome everybody also on Instagram, and you are listening to the Dr. Farid Zarif channel. This is the Mind of Nature show, and we get into those things that maybe you don't hear enough about. Now, I think that's one of the biggest problems too, Care, is that we have these different diseases that aren't really explained in a way that we can conceive them, that we can understand them.
Mhm.
So if you can't conceptualize what you're hearing, you don't take it seriously, and it's easy to like sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
What you think?
No, I do agree with that. Because I feel like there's a lot of things out there where, I mean, but it's natural. That if it's not affecting you personally, then you don't think about it because
Yeah,
it's not there. Um,
it's not you,
it's yes, and it's not someone that's a loved one that's close to you.
right?
Yes, so I do agree
Yeah.
with.
So yeah, we want to go right into it. I want you to make sure that the way that you're going to play a part of this, everyone out there listening, is to have a conversation and also talk to each other too in the comments. We
Mhm.
really want to have a dynamic show where you are getting what you're here for, and that is more information about better health, and we can do it in a better way, but we have to give ourselves permission to want to make progress. Okay. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we want to especially give us a special thank you in advance for those of you that listen and then put these principles and this knowledge into motion. Action is super important. Not just we're not here to entertain you, we're here to increase your knowledge. That's the best way, I think. And this is really a wonderful opportunity that all of us can grow together. I want
Yes.
to get right into measles. And as we talk about measles, we know that measles are definitely something that we hear about as a childhood disease. But what we need to know is, even starting back like yesterday, which was the last update, the data that I'll be reporting to you reflects the confirmed measles cases reported to CDC as of noon Thursday, just this past Thursday. So this is fresh. This is just happening. It's not old news. This is brand new news. And you don't hear about butter being recalled a lot, but you do hear about especially the different meats that are recalled. But as of April the 10th, 2025, a total of 712 confirmed measles cases were reported by 25 jurisdictions. Now, jurisdictions are those areas. In this case, we're talking about states: Alaska, Arkansas, California, and Colorado. We have Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Indiana, Kansas. We have Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York City, New York State, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, and Washington. Now there have been like 7 outbreaks, defined as 3 or more related cases reported in 2025, and 93% of the confirmed cases, and that's 660 of the 712, are outbreak associated. For comparison, I just want to use the 16 outbreaks were reported during 2024. And 69% of cases, that's 198 out of 285, were outbreak associated. So it's we're keeping a beat on this. So far, there 2 individuals have died, has been reported to have died from this outbreak. So it is, although kept at a controlled level, I should say. Nobody wants to lose anybody, but it's important for us to know that when these things happen, like, what should we do? One of the first things we want to do is to make sure that we follow the right, keep up with the news. Now, this is really important because as we know, the RFK Jr. Has taken over CDC and FDA and USDA and whatever else they've thrown in the bag. But we want to make sure that we, the people, take advantage of time to study and to select the ways that we can actually learn more about a situation. And there's a lot of shows and different outlets on YouTube that can help us get a better understanding, along with your educational institutions, although they now are being affected by these knuckleheads that we have in the White House. I know everybody may not agree with me, but this is some straight BS. When we want to move up here, the other thing that I wanted to share with you about measles, find out more about these childhood diseases, because they can be fatal. Rubeola is also what is called. The rubeola outbreak can be very, very dangerous. And we need to make sure that we take it very seriously. So we talked about that, the different outbreaks of measles. So now let's just get into a little bit about this recall. Now, there has been a major butter brand recall, and that's due to potentially elevated levels of fecal matter. Now I know that probably discusses you, but that's what we're looking at, and it's really important that we take this seriously because before you start buttering up your spreading butter on your toast, on your toasted bread, or a grilled cheese sandwich today, you might just want to just check the packaging. Now there is a Mark. Mark, the owner of the Cabot Creamery, is voluntarily recalling some of the extra creamy premier butter over the concerns that it could be coliform, and coliform is a type of bacteria. And according to a statement released by the company on Wednesday, they feel that it merits being recalled. The detection of coliform bacteria in food product, it actually indicates that it is likely contaminated and it may transmit the pathogens. And this was also backed up by Dr. Bloomberg. He's an MD actually and a professor and the chair pediatric infectious diseases he's a chair of the pediatric infection diseases at UC Davis Health. Now, these gastrointestinal pathogens, they commonly cause nausea and vomiting and diarrhea. And often you'll find that the people also that it affects, they have a fever. And not everyone who eats the contaminated food, they get sick. They don't get sick, because our immune system often fight off the bacteria before infection can even take hold. However, in some people, the pathogens can be invasive and resulting to sepsis or blood poisoning. We've talked about that many times, and it may spread to other parts of the body, causing serious infections of the bones or the joints, and even the meningitis and the meninges. You can read up more of that, and they're associated with your brain. So that's very important for you to write down to get deeper into. Also, the E. coli that may cause HUS. Now, HUS is the hemolytic uremic syndrome. Hemolytic uremic syndrome, which can also result in end stage kidney disease, which is kidney failure. And this can be very, very scary for individuals. Don't do it, stay away from it, and have an alternative butter. I suggest get a plant based butter. Okay. Now, Kara, let's get some of your feedback before we continue.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Zari. Very, very important information. As Dimitri Pullen says on Instagram, I do agree with that. The information that you just shared, I think sometimes people, again, like you say, if it's not affecting them personally, then it doesn't seem to be something that they care too much about. But um, whenever I go to Trader Joe's, one of the things that I look at is, how they tend to have the recalls. I don't know if anyone's noticed that, but they have recalls at the cash register when there's, been a recall on something. I'm always like reading and, checking to see,
Right.
okay, is any of this in my cart? Because I don't want that.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of it is precaution because you mentioned some people the immune system is built up for us to um, maybe not get sick, but there are some people who get sick from buying something that they didn't know was recalled and um, you know going home, getting sick, and now there's that problem. So I just always make sure even sometimes, like you've mentioned too, if it's recall, it's already pulled off of the shelves, but you may already have it in the refrigerator at home and you don't realize it, you know?
Or you might have it in your body and don't realize it,
That,
because most of these, when they do these recalls, people are buying like fish or a steak, or it might be whatever part of that that animal. By the time that they recalled it, most people have already consumed that meat or that fish, that chicken, and then they're told about the salmonella, the shigella, the E. coli. And then they're like, oh my God, I've already eaten it. I hope I don't get sick. And some of them don't get sick, but some do. And what happens is that there's no refund there because you've eaten it. There's no way for you to tell before they find out. But unfortunately, those are part of the risk that we take when we eat animal products. And there can be other byproducts, such as you can have cream cheese and yogurt, and you can also have the different types of milk, different types of cheeses, and get the same type of infection.
yeah,
And these, as I said earlier, can be quite dangerous.
right. And also you mentioned, or we talked about measles. So what is your thought about people who feel that vaccines aren't really the thing to do? Because I remember hearing the a report about for the measles, and it's hitting kids, a lot of kids. What I heard from a report is they recommend even at 6 months, at a 6 month old, being able to get the measles vaccine. So, what are your thoughts on vaccines in general for adults or and for children?
Well, first of all, I love the question. Thank you. And I think that when it comes down to understanding vaccines, well, first of all, that word understanding, and so that we'll get a good idea of how that vaccine works. Now, we've heard other things that are kind of spooky, and it makes you like think twice before you get a vaccine. And I can understand that that's our defense mechanism, especially for Black people, since we've been used for experiments and we've been under the auspices of some of these very racist doctors and racist institutions. And this is United States. I don't want to say it cavalierly, but it's definitely a situation that easily highlights the expectations or the also the doubts that we have when we're working with doctors. Even some, unfortunately, there are other doctors other than white doctors that feel the same about Black people because that is the culture. And but I do want to say that there are some really incredible doctors that are very much in touch with what they are and proud of that. Now, the thing about the measles or the shots, the vaccines, think just for a minute. I just want people to think for a minute. When you're brought into the world from the very beginning, are there any shots that the baby takes in order to keep that baby healthy? The answer is yes. There are shots there, and we have no idea. We don't have, you're not, a woman isn't having the baby saying, no, no, don't shoot, don't put that in my baby. And, you might, but it's foolish. They won't let the baby out of that hospital without those shots. And you make an agreement for that. You can sign, but there are things that absolutely are necessary in order to keep that child healthy. And a vaccine, also think about these other things that people have had, different things that we don't not even aware of. But if you have like chicken pox and measles and mumps and polio and these different diseases that can just go rampant if we don't look at them and take them seriously and kill people. People die from this, just like we just had the other day when another person died from measles. This is a very serious situation. The other, look at what happened with the so-called COVID-19. Now, what happened to that? Poof! It just seemed like it went away. Well, whatever that was is still here,
Hmm.
and the way that we are adjusting to what is in our, whether it's airborne or whether it's foodborne. In some ways, we have to keep our bodies protected against these diseases. And vaccine, without vaccine, I think that there would be such incredible, unfortunate attack on our health that it would be just something like the world has never seen before, and we need to really pay attention to that. So uh, we roll this conversation up by saying that we have to be aware of how things work before we say no way, like see exactly what it is, because you might be taking a pharmaceutical that can save your life. And believe me, there are millions of people today that are healthy and feeling better because of the regimen of these different pharmaceuticals. So it's not all bad. It's a mixture of things. Yes, there are some knucklehead, badass doctors out there. And I don't mean the bad, good badass. I mean the ones that are horrible and they shouldn't even have a license. And I think that as much as we love ourselves and our loved ones, we can show it by taking on the responsibility of educating ourselves better with it, and not just listening to some hocus pocus and to something that you like, yeah, that sounds good, I think I'll go with it. Get proof. That's what science is about. Science was discovered to prove how nature works. And that's what is important for us, to find out how things work.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
Well, you're more than welcome. So now what we're going to do is let's get back over here to, I want to talk a little bit about fluoride and fluorine. So this is something that, first of all, in talking about the fluorine and fluoride, again, is getting a better understanding, okay? So when we talk about that, we're talking about something that is hard to understand because we talk about the chemistry. But first of all, it's usually spelled incorrectly. It's like Fluorine and Fluoride. And most people spell it like flour, like you use some whole wheat flour or something. So that's first thing. Let's get out the misspelling, because in most many reports it's misspelled, and a lot of people still misspell it. Fluorine is actually a chemical element. In pure form, it can be highly toxic, reactive, and that can be dangerous in itself. It's a yellow green gas also. So it's not some kind of chemical that's made in a lab like people previously thought about. There's poison that will, kill you. Fluorine is a chemical element, and in its pure form, it's highly toxic in its pure form, and it's reactive. Now, the termed fluorines are. I'm just going to go through a few. When you hear fluoride in drinking water, for instance, it comes from adding the fluorine compound, usually sodium fluoride. And then there's another compound which is called sodium fluorosilicate. and sodium, that's another compound. But there's one more, which is the fluorosilic, is fluorosilicic, fluorosilicic acid, and that is um, that's added to the drinking water, which disassociates to actually release the F negative ion. And those of you that are in chemistry will better understand this. But for everybody else, we need to have our the chemicals or the different chemical elements must be stabilized. And stable fluorines or fluorides rather are also found in fluoridated toothpaste and mouthwash. So we use this quite often. Um, the other important part of this is that um, it's almost, keep in mind, like you can't change the way that you eat or the way that you drink until you change your attitude toward drinking and eating. Does that make sense to you? So you see, it's like you can't, like you say, I just want to eat better. If you don't change your attitude about throwing anything in your body, that's not going to work. You might have it work for a couple of hours. See, I went to a couple of hours, I'm fasting, or you know, people just throw stuff together and then they actually blame it on their doctors, and they blame it on the pharmacists, and they blame it on other people. But we got to take our bodies back and have the attitude that this is my body and I'm responsible for it. Now, fluorine is, as we get more into it, the fluoride. One of the myths is that fluoride isn't natural. Well, fluoride is naturally occurring. Is a naturally occurring substance found in rocks, and it leaches into ground water. Now, it also is found in surface water. The natural level of fluoride in water, it varies, like depending on the types of water, groundwater or surface, and the type of rocks and minerals that is getting or that it's in contact with. So that it makes a real big difference. It's just like the water that we have, the groundwater. If it's closer to different types of minerals, that water will taste accordingly different. You have, like, some people are getting water from a well, and because it is extrapolating the sulfur from the rocks and the formation of those different minerals, then you have a different smelling water. Not poison, but it has maybe absorbed a aromatic mineral in that water. Now, fluoride is found in all natural water supplies at some concentration, so you can't get away from it. Fluoride is always there. See, and I wanted to really talk about fluoride because I remember I made a report on teas, and one of the trace minerals, or the minerals that was in that particular tea, as far as the benefit is concerned, is fluoride. And I had people that were saying, "Oh my God, fluoride, that's not right. Fluoride to kill you." So now that I want you to know that fluoride is naturally occurring. So this is a naturally occurring from the formation of rocks that are either in surface water or groundwater. Fluoride can be found in all natural supplies and some concentration of, meaning that again, the amount of fluoride is definitely connected to where that water is, um, that area that's concentrated with rocks. That's what makes the difference in the water. Now, there are many places. Now, take Australia, for instance. This is where the fluoride occurs naturally in the water supply at optimum levels to maintain that good dental health. For example, both in Poland and in Port Fairy in Victoria, they have naturally occurring fluoride in the water at zero point 0.7 to 1.0 parts per million. So that's how the water is actually measured. Let's go ahead and continue with the fluoride. Again, the type of fluoride commonly found in many rock and the source of the naturally occurring fluoride ion in water supplies is calcium fluoride. And the three main fluoride compounds generally used in fluoridated water are sodium chloride, also the hydrofluorosilicic acid, and the hexafluorosilicic acid. The sodium silical fluoride is another. These are different forms that these compounds you can find fluoride compounds. All those are fluoride compounds, and all these fully mixed, all these fully mixed, disassociated with water, and that means that it's resulting in the availability of fluoride ions to prevent tooth decay. Now, well, regardless of the original compound source, the end result is the same, and the fluoride ions in the water are also, all of them are again absorbed from the rock formations that are submerged in the water. Now, evidence for water fluoridation dates back to the United States in 1940s, where the dental researchers they noticed the lower levels of tooth decay in areas with naturally occurring fluoride in the water supply. Now, this prompted a study that actually involves the artificial fluoridation. The artificial fluoridation of water, it actually supplies to a large community, and comparing the tooth decay rates to the neighboring community with no fluoride at all. The trial has to be uh, 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 had to be disconnected or discontinued after 6 years because of the benefits of the children in the fluoridated community were so obvious that it was deemed unethical to not provide the benefits to all children. So the control community water supply was also fluoridated. And that's what we are today, the fluoridation in our water. And the when you quantify the use of that water and the benefits that you're getting from that water, especially when it comes to protecting our teeth, that is working very well. Now, if you were to overdo it and the balance was not, as we talked about earlier, zero point 0.7 to 1.0, then you can overdo it. And then that, again, remember, poison or toxic comes from or starts at the dosage of whatever the particular um, chemical compound is. Okay. Since all those things have occurred, consistently we lowered the levels of tooth decay associated with water fluoridation. And the most recent evidence, again, back to Australia and overseas, supports this. Um, There is also, there's been children and teenagers that have lived in areas with the fluoridated or fluoridation, had about 26 to 44% fewer teeth or surfaces affected by decay, and adults had 27% less tooth decay. So this is working. A number of factors that are likely to influence the variation across the population and countries, including diet, access to um, uh, dental care, and the amount of tap water that a person drinks. Now, most people, guess what? They don't drink tap water. They end up drinking bottled water more. And if you're drinking bottled water, you can be drinking water that the fluoridation has been removed. But again, the another thing that's really cool is that you can uh, drink water that is clean, and then there are other things that you can use, like your toothpaste, for instance, and or mouth washes, and that can also add to your oral protection, your oral hygiene. All right. All right. Now, the fluoridated water causes the cancer and other health problems. I want you to write down, please. Give me your back. What do you think about that? Are you a person that say, no, I'm not going to deal with that because you can die from it? Cholecalciferol was also one of the named chemical elements that people have heard that, hey, that is cholecalciferol can be found in rat poison. Yeah, but it don't kill a human. This is something that when given to the lab rats or lab mice, that they get a certain reaction, and if you give them too much of it, they will die from it. But it works differently, just like when those people that have dogs, if you can't feed it, if you feed a dog certain things, a dog will, it'll cause the dog to get very sick and could be a threat to that dog's life. You can't just throw, some people use those dogs like a garbage disposal, and the dog is just hungry, but it eats because their owner is giving them the food. So that's something to consider also. And now, as far as wrapping up the fluoridation, the fluoridated water is not safe for the infant formula. Now, that's a myth also, because some people are concerned about using fluoridated water to make up an infant formula. However, like all infant formulas sold in various parts of the world, especially I go back to Australia because they really take great reports, has very low levels of fluoride. Now, below the threshold amount of 17 micrograms of fluoride per 100 kilojoules, and that's before reconstruction, with which would require a warning label. So if you go over 17 micrograms and you have that in a formula or some kind of decoction, you would need a warning label. It doesn't mean that that they'll stop making it. It just means that this is the next step if you're still selling that or if it's still allowed. Therefore, like making up an infant formula with fluoridated tap water at levels found in Australia, like zero point 0.6 to 1.1 parts per million, is safe, and it does not pose a risk for dental fluorosis. And the Again, back to the Australian research, it shows that there is no association between infant formula use and the dental fluorosis. So That remember, I'm going to look at some of the think about like questions that you want to ask. If you know, some people don't drink the fluoridated water coming up from your tap water, but keep in mind that the tap water, again, a lot of times it may not have the fluoridation, and this is like when people are just drinking and they don't run it through a filter. Yes, some people do not purchase bottled water, and they'll just drink straight from the tap. And they feel that by boiling the water and cooking in the that particular water, that it will be safe enough for them. But there are other risks that they may want to consider. Okay. Let's see if we another thing that's really important is how do foods relate to mental health? Now, this is really, really important because when we talk about the mental health, we're talking about the way that we think, and in a lot of cases, we're talking about the way that we feel, right? So the way that we feel has a lot to do with our intention, the way that we also think, and how we what we believe. So this is really important. So this is how food actually makes the connection with mental health. Let's start off with depression. Like depression, for instance, in young people is vastly undertreated, neglected, overlooked. In about 2/3 of the depressed youth, they don't receive any mental health care at all. And this is like, I don't know, maybe this is something that you can look into, and definitely something that I've been looking into because of those who do a significant proportion rely on the antidepressant medications. Now, since 2003, the USDA, which is the United States Food and Drug Administration, have warned that young people might experience suicide or suicidal thinking, or what's called suicidal ideation. And this might also, you'll see the behavior during the first month of treatment with the antidepressants. The FDA issued a warning to urge these clinicians to monitor the suicidal thoughts at the start of treatment. And these warnings appear everywhere on TV and the internet and in print and in news stories. Now, the most strongly worded warnings appear in black boxes on the medication containers themselves. Now let's look at the FDA again. FDA is really, really important. This is the Food and Drug Administration. And we found that the FDA drug warnings can also sometimes prevent life threatening adverse effects. But that unintended consequences of these warnings are also common. Like in 2013, working for the FDA itself, um, we actually published a systemic review of the effects of previous FDA warnings on the variety of medications. Did people pay attention to it? Did they read it? Did they take it seriously? Or did they just go ahead and do whatever they wanted to do? Well, what was found was that about a third backfired, and resulting in a underuse of needed care and other adverse effects. So some people just don't take there are warnings that are given, and people are actually, they kind of look over those things. One of the things that we should definitely do in order for us to alleviate some of the mental problems that we constantly face, we can eat like clockwork. So our bodies actually love the routine and tend to perform best with repetition. And that's why I founded the um, circadian diet and the rhythm diet, also called the rhythm diet, so that people will start reading or eating um, in pretty much correlation with your lifestyle. This is especially true when you're eating and you're working a lot of hours, and without the structure of a regular work or school day, or when desk work is something that you do, but you have like a short distance to the refrigerator, you might cause overweightness, not being able to manage your weight, and have a problem because you are so accessible to right there what's in the refrigerator. But there's a lot of really good things about you also not eating um, uh, or I should turn it around, eating at a certain time, and you eat at that time practically every day. Aim to eat a balanced meal every 3 to 4 hours, with most people realistically because they're working. But if you can, you want to split that in half, eat every 2 hours. If you can get down to every 2 hours, and that doesn't have to be some fancy meal, you know, eating or a meal is not an event. Every meal is not an event. So you aim to eat these balanced meals for every couple of hours and add a snack. And these should be intentional snacking. This is to keep you healthy, not candy bars and all these sugary products, because they are not giving us the kind of results that we want. Number two would be prioritize your sleep. Make sure that you get enough sleep. A lack of sleep, you're not going to get it done because your body doesn't work at its best when it's sleepy and groggy and you haven't gotten enough rest. Number three is to stock a nutritious pantry. Make sure that you are, we talked about this before, stockpiling. That is when you're stocking up nutritious food that can be stored for several weeks even, is just a good practice period for any family, so that you're prepared for whatever comes, bad weather, whatever happens, you have food, because we can easily make our situation even worse if we don't eat or have that spare food and spare water. And then number four is to shop for the freezer. Make sure that you can shop for produce, and then that lasts longer, like carrots, potatoes, cabbage, apples, winter squash, oranges. You can have clementines, yams, and celery, and sweet potatoes. Now, with the celery, I've done it before, and I've frozen the celery because of the amount of water in that celery. Sometimes you can't get it to, the texture changes because the water freezes in it, and it's a little tricky. But work that out. Keep working with it because it can make a difference. There's some other things that snacking with intention that we went over, and one thing that I really want to express is that whatever you do, move your body when you're at home, or we get back to a quarantine. That's one of the things that people found to be very, very creative, working out inside. Oh man, we missed outside. So these are some of the things that you can add to the things that we've been talking about today, in order to read those things that when especially when something is recalled, if even if a store, ask the store that you where you shop, how can I find out, do you have any signs when things are recalled? How would I know that they're recalled? How do I know that this food is fresh? Ask the questions. It's going in your body, and they're not going to be there to visit you if something goes wrong. Okay, I'm going to bring Care back into the house. We need to talk a little bit about what I've said. If you have any questions about it, make sure that you write down in the comments about these uh, things that I talked about, especially when it comes to these foods that can be very deleterious for an individual. And we need to find out more what's happening with FDA. Keep your thumb on FDA because it's changing and things can change where, the information isn't conducive to our health. And we want to make sure that the Washington knows that we out here and don't just because they're going crazy in the White House, it doesn't mean that you have to neglect your life or the health of your life. Kara, what do you think?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. In regards to food and mental health, um, it can be something as simple as like what you mentioned. For me, if I haven't eaten, I'm groggy. I'm there. There's a different mood there, and even when
Exactly.
when food's being cooked and I smell it and it's like it makes me happy. I like, start like, yay. I'm getting happy because I know that food is coming. I'm about to eat and it's going to be good. So I can definitely understand when you say food and mental health, there's a connection there when it comes to that. So I was definitely able to relate to that. In regards to fluoride, you mentioned fluoride earlier too in the water. I recall a time when my sister and I we were having a gathering. So my sister and I, Michelle, we were in charge of getting the water. So we went to the grocery store, and of course, there's a lot of different uh, packs of water, bottled water, and we were getting water. And I remember we came across this. I forget what brand it was, but it was water, and it said with fluoride. And we're having a gathering and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, let's get this one. It says with fluoride. It's like it's supposed to be better. We're gonna impress the crowd or whatever, something silly. But anyway, we got the water, the fluoride water, and we took it back. And as we have the water and we're sharing it out, and some people are drinking it. I remember this one guy, he stopped and he like almost like spit the water out, like it says it got fluoride. And we're like, you know, doing something that people gonna like, and it's like they were like, no, 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 and they just like put the water to the side, and me and Michelle, we were looking like, what's wrong. So as far as people not wanting fluoride in their water, is definitely a thing where it's like, no, I don't want fluoride in my water. So again, you're just like the education on it. You have some people who do and some who don't. So I just thought
Exactly.
that I just always remember that story when Michelle and I we went and we just thought we were like, yeah, girl, let's get the fluoride. Say with fluoride.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that really speaks to again the knowledge that's very important here because it can really make a difference of your teeth and if you're drinking straight from the tap versus drinking bottled water. And if you drink bottled water, usually people say, this is the good stuff. You got to buy it.
Yeah.
The other stuff is free, which isn't free because we have water bills. But it's just what's important is that you understand how something works as far as the dosage is concerned.
Yes.
So if a person takes a high dosage, what is that dosage? If you take over maybe something like a 6.6 percentage. Is that safe or is it not safe? Find out. And remember, these places have 800 numbers with people that are designated to answer questions. It's called customer service. Ever heard of that? So,
Mhm.
customer service, you call these people and you get, I need this information. They're usually nice people. They don't have nasty attitudes. They're glad to have your call because that's what they're getting paid for. And you
Mhm.
find out more information about it. And then you can drink with solace. You can feel better about it instead of feeling like, God, is this going to hurt me or not? There isn't any water that I know of or have ever known that was for sale, and people were feeling like, oh man, this water is really making me sick. I think it can kill me, to that level. So again, it is really finding out what's in your water, finding out how you can remove it if it is in your water, and then having the most. I remember I had the most wonderful. I was with the. You remember this, Care? The that place that we went out to for Mother's Day.
Oh
Uh,
yes, in Long Beach.
Boy, they had some water that I couldn't stop drinking, and it was so fresh and so the what the packaging has a lot to do with it too. Because if I see glass, I'm gonna buy that over buying some water in plastic.
That's true.
And although now they supposed to have water that can be, they have some kind of it breaks down in the over time. It still takes a long time.
Hmm.
Um, but it's we're getting better. We're finding out more ways to be safe on the earth, and we need to, because you see what happens when people just they won't make up the bed when they get out. And of course that's an analogy, but like when we use something, we got to replenish it. When we have like a gift like clean water, we got to take care and make sure we don't pollute the water.
Right.
This is Mother Earth. What happened to Mother Earth? This is really a gift that we have these things.
Yes.
So thank you for that, Carrie. Did you want to continue with any more remarks?
Well, there is a question from Velma. Uh,
Okay. Hey, Velma.
hey, Velma. She says, "Is there a preferred toothpaste that contains fluoride?"
There is the uh, which is something that you can also use to keep your enamel up, and it's baking soda. I know you've heard that before, but baking soda is incredible. This keeps your teeth not only removing stains from your teeth, but it also that enamel. Enamel is like the hardest substance in your body, and it's over what's called dentin. And when you take care of that, especially the sugar that can latch onto your teeth, the sodas that can just lie there between your teeth, and the sulcus, which is the gum line, that can definitely worsen things. So yeah, the baking soda, I wouldn't look for something with fluoride in it. But I mean, if it does have fluoride, you can get a number of toothpastes, and they also have a baking soda toothpaste. Arm and Hammer has a toothpaste that you can buy. So, excuse me, you might want to look into that. There we go. So check it out, and thank you for your question.
Thank you for your question. On Instagram, Demetrius Pullen says, "I love Starbucks water." It's funny because I do too, especially when there's a lot of ice in there.
Ah,
I
yeah,
like the water with that. So yeah,
awesome. Now
thank you.
tell the people about Starbucks water. I don't drink Starbucks water. What makes it
I mean,
different? I never. I don't think I ever had any.
yeah, I mean, to me, it's fresh water. There's some water that may have a taste to it. Like Arrowhead. I personally don't like Arrowhead because there's like the taste to it that I can't explain. Um, it's just like in the back, like somewhere I taste it. But to me, it's just fresh water. So that
Somewhere out the back. That's hilarious. Uh,
they say it's. She's saying they say it's filtered 5 times. So
ah,
X. So there it is. Yeah, I like that water though.
See, that might be one of the waters too. Like when they're filtered that many times, then other things. Of course, they can remove the stuff that you don't want in your body, but some of the things that you might want in your body is there. So that's why they'll do like enrichment. So enriched is when you take stuff out of a food and then you put it back in the food. So now it's enriched with vitamin C, D, E, K, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it happens like that, but I'm really thankful. I need to say that because I'm thankful for the system that we have already set up, that we can have fresh water. If you think just a little bit, care about how important the water is when it comes to taking showers and baths and eating in that same water and drinking that water, it's super important. Only need a few days and then without water, and we'll get so thirsty, and our systemically will start breaking down, and then before you know it, we just end up losing. We die.
Mm-hmm.
We need water. We can't do without water. Some people can go up to 30 days without food, but when it comes to your water, you're not. We can't go that long without water. So make sure that you put that in your systems, your plans. You should have a plan about eating healthy if you can't make it to the store, if there's an outbreak, if there's a war, if there's so an earthquake or flood. What will you do? These are conversations that you should have with your family and your loved ones, and that's why so many people are caught up, end up um, making the worst mistakes because they don't find out. Like for instance, I don't know what happened with the people that died. Over 100 people died, I think, with the ceiling that caved in, and that was just a few days ago. And
Mm-hmm.
these a lot of people died. I think it was 109 people, and they got other people that was just hurt. But these are things because we take so much for granted.
Mm-hmm.
We take politicians for granted. We take schooling for granted. We take, um, being free in America for granted. And you're like, why? How am I free and I can't even walk down the street without white people still looking at me like we back in the 1700s? It's really a lot of what we have work to do. So let's go ahead and wrap this up here. There is, I think, what I wanted to do is, whoa, wrap up big time. Well,
Yes.
what I'll do here, instead of going on, one of the things that I think in the summation is avoiding some of the food borne illnesses, and when we avoid the foodborne illnesses, we're talking about some of the salmonella, the shigella, the E. coli, and yeah, let's go. We'll go a little bit over just for you. And let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up what I need right fast. And the bacteria, my slide is there. Uh, Beautiful. So here we go. When it comes to avoiding the food borne illnesses, like summertime, for instance, if we look at that, we that means you cook out the so-called picnics and backyard barbecues. Um, that's oh yeah, that's another thing, about the picnics. Now, I remember I used to believe that I heard, this was just a rumor, that picnics comes from pick a nigga, and people said that I'm going to put they there, said that white people used to look at black people get hung, and they would call these picnics because they would pick a black person and they would kill this person. That then I brought this up to a professor, and Professor Kim, she said, Dr. Kim, she said that that didn't happen. It actually means It comes from it's French, and it comes from when people, the word meaning that an outing, and or something of that nature. So you would check it out, because I used to do the same thing, and I used to say the same stuff. If you don't change what you're saying, you don't change how you're behaving, things tend to remain the same, and we got to grow bigger, better, and that's exactly what my intentions are. Now, there's two general classes of food-related microorganisms, and they are the pathogenic organisms that make you sick, and the other types of organisms make food look, smell, and taste bad. In other words, they make food spoiled. So it's usually pretty easy to tell if spoilage of the macroorganism, or the micro in this case, organisms have invaded your food, because there'll be molds and there'll be this fuzzy growth that appear on solid foods. Liquids look cloudy and they get clumpy and they often smell bad. Eating spoiled foods is never a good idea, and you're smart to make a mistake on the side of caution, and when in doubt, just throw it out. So there's a rhyme right on time. Uh, we go to another thing, like usually you don't hear anything about this, but cross contamination is incredible, and that is like when it comes to the cutting boards and the kitchen thermometers. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're eating these foods. They are sometimes it is very tricky, because sometimes foods look good, especially when somebody goes and they dip them back in that hot grease. They look fresh, and you can't really tell, right? Because it's hot and it's crispy, and all you want to do is eat it, and it looks good. And when you're hungry, it does interfere with your decision making, So a cutting board, pathogenic. Microorganisms in foods are just much more uh, stealthy. So they're easy to hide. And then people end up with what they call the stomach flu, and which is just viruses also that cause the foodborne illnesses. Other people they're eating foods that cause them to have diarrhea, vomiting, cramps, and fever and chills. All of this can happen when you go to, especially restaurants, when they get, like as I said earlier, that fecal contamination from wiping themselves, and it gets on their hands, and then they underwash their hands. These are people that are putting their hands on the food that you're eating. Some have their hands not washed correctly, and they're massaging a salad, or they're putting preparing your string beans. You know who you are. So it's really it's really important that you make better decisions. Make better decisions. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. We've been fighting for this for a long time, and as long as we continue to fight, we will be better together. So, thank you very much, everybody, for coming here today and listening to what we have to share. We are also um, looking for your compliment, actually, but we want to know how you like the way that we've um, changed the way that we bring to you this information. And if you have anything that you want to see in particular, we want to hear that too. but want you to spread the news. Before we go, I want you to make sure you write down 6614 Western Avenue. And this is at 9 a.m. every first and third Saturday of each month. We want you to please show up and be there. We have a great opportunity to learn more about nutrition. I'll be there in person. The class, you have these two classes. They only cost $10, and I mean, it's really a wonderful opportunity to get your life on track. Unfortunately, every time when I hear, most of the time I hear from people, it's like when they have one leg in the grave and one leg on a banana peel. And that's very true with a lot of situations. Don't wait until it's too late. If you're waiting around that waiting thing, waiting for something, a lot of times we just already past the time. And that's what we do. We wait too late to eat. We wait too late to go to sleep. We wait too late to leave and get into traffic so you'll be on time. We wait too late and we're used to being late. And once you get, do you know people even talk from Zoom and they're right in their house and still late? Is what the, so
Oh my God.
I'm gonna thank you all very much again. Really appreciate you being here, and those people that are on Instagram, those people that are on YouTube, those people on Facebook. Please share with other people that haven't seen our show, so we can get them in. And if you have leaders in your community, those that would like to speak, please let me know in the comments, and we'll be glad to look into that so that we can also give everybody a chance to be heard. Okay, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Karen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zarif, and thank you to all that joined us here today. Good morning to you too. Ruth Taylor over on Instagram says, "Good morning, Dr. Zarif and Carolyn. Good morning to you. Thank you so
Ruth
much for."
Taylor. Oh,
If you have not,
who
please.
else was that? I'm sorry, Karen.
I'm sorry.
Who else was that? Ruth Taylor.
Oh no, it was Ruth Taylor over on Instagram. Is what I was.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank
Yes.
you.
If you have not already, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Dr. Farid Zarif. The recordings don't stay on Instagram, and it may change up a bit on Facebook as well. But if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can always go back, watch the replays, take notes, and things like that. So I do encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, thank you all so much. We are here 8 a.m. Pacific time every Saturday. So Dr. Zarif, back to you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm Dr. Zarif, the nutritionist.
And I'm Carolyn Gentle. Thank you all.